a great day to be talking about how to keep your business thriving in a recession. Now, somewhere or another, we're not quite technically in a recession, but we're about as close as you possibly could be. We're almost in a recession, and it's certainly a challenging environment. My bit clicker's decided not to work. There we go. You all know who I am, so I don't need to spend much time on this slide. But for the benefit of anybody listening, Helen Petty-Bridge from Action Coach, been working with SMEs, supporting their growth and health of the business for the last 7 years. And prior to that, a big corporate HR career. So I've kind of brought that together. And at the moment, very much focused on helping people make the most of where we're at and successfully see through the next challenging year. So business success starts with us as business leaders. So I thought we would open with a focus on where your mindset is at. So first question here is, are you in fight, flight, or freeze mode? And this was particularly interesting, I found, when we were in COVID. At the beginning of that, there were a number of people who seemed to be stuck in freeze mode, which was, there's stuff happening, I don't like it, this is difficult, business is challenging, but they weren't doing anything about it. The flight mode is running in the opposite direction, stepping back and not addressing what needs to be addressed. And the fight is where you're going, and this is where we need to be, right, yeah, it's tough, and I'm going into battle. We are going to win this one. So we want to be in a fight mode versus a flight or freeze mode. So just check in with yourselves. I'm not going to ask you to say where you are, but just check in with yourselves. Do you feel as if you're in fight, flight, or freeze? Because the first step is to get that step forward and make sure you're in fighting mode. And when we're in fighting mode, then we can look positively. We can look at where are the opportunities, which we'll come on to. I was about to say, I was writing a slide yesterday, and I think it was in here, so I won't spoil that one. So we need to look for what, there is always a positive somewhere. If we look hard enough, there's always new opportunities. So a mindset of looking for that will actually help you find it. If you don't look, you won't find. It's also massively important in these times, if you have a team, to make sure you are proactively and positively leading your people. They will take their lead from you. So if you are feeling, golly, this is tough, woe is me, then that is going to, by osmosis, filter into the team, and then the whole thing will come down in terms of energy and proactiveness. So really be mindful, and we're going to come on to a bit more about how to do that a bit later on in our hour today. Be very intentional, be very deliberate about what you're doing, why and how. In terms of our mindset, the news is always filled with negative stuff, I have to say. Very rarely, I mean, we might be in the middle of a fantastic Olympic season and we get lots of new gold medals or something, but invariably the news is filled 80% with negative stuff. So if you feel yourself getting a bit down, it's a good idea to try and watch less news. Or read less news, just sort of block it out, because quite frankly, if something's that important you need to know about it, you will hear about it from those around you. And key to having this proactive fighting, we're gonna get there, we're gonna win in this sense, is to actually look after yourself properly. There's 5 key things to look after yourself. One is make sure you get enough sleep. Now, not everybody needs the same amount of sleep, but most humans need between 7 and 8 hours sleep a night. Are you getting it? So make sure you've got enough sleep. Make sure you're eating good food, so not stuffing full of sugar. Get your veggies in there. So nice balanced diet food, eat good food. Next is make sure you're hydrated. So your water. I have one of these on my desk every day. I have to get through it. Hydrate. So sleep, eat, hydrate, exercise. Exercise in the morning is particularly good, gets those endomorphines going, but you feel better for some exercise. I've just scooted in from my Friday morning Pilates. She was particularly mean on the call today. Anyhow, and then finally is your mindfulness. Actually, different people achieve this, whether it's meditation, maybe it's just going for a walk, enjoying nature, but have some time, maybe it's yoga, maybe time where you can just mentally relax, think and reground. So I seldom find somebody who's doing all of 5 of those to the maximum. So why don't you just pop in the chat box which one you would need to do more of to look after yourself even better. Is it sleep, eat, hydrate, exercise, or mindfulness? And we'll get the chat box working. Guy, can you be my chat box monitor? What are we getting in?
We've got Ross has come up with mindfulness. And then hydrate. Well, yeah, definitely drinking water is very key. Mindfulness. And another one is sleep. Not always easy to achieve, but good. And then exercise.
Okay, we've pretty much covered them all there. Excellent. So just have a thought. How can you do more of whatever it is you put in the chat box? What would you need to do to get that going? And then you're going to be in the best possible position to support your business and your team going forwards. So, have you got a plan? Now, normally I'm talking about business plans here, but I mean, it is a business plan in a way, but actually just have you got a strategy, a plan for maximizing your business through these challenging times? I really like this phrase. Planning is bringing the future into the present so that now you can do something about it. Absolutely key. If we don't have a plan, we can't do anything. We're not being proactive about doing something to be deliberate about where we get to, rather than just waiting for stuff to happen. So hopefully after we've gone through the content today, you can start to develop a plan or add some ideas. If you've already got a plan, there might be some new thoughts that you might need to add into it. Because here's that slide I said I was doing. The famous phrase is every challenge comes with an opportunity, and apparently there's 38 different people who that quote is attributed to in some way, shape or form. But I've done the Helen Pettibridge version of this. My version is every change comes with an opportunity. Because when there's a change, people have different needs. So whether your business is business to consumer or your business to business, the consumers nowadays have got different needs because they're cost conscious, energy conscious, much more into reuse, different needs. And businesses have got different needs because they've got the cost pressures. Therefore, they need some different solutions. So when we think about the upcoming year, I want us to be thinking about what are the changes that are happening and what's the opportunity for you in those changes, because there always is. And the winners are the ones who spot the opportunities earliest. And, early bird catches the worm and all that. So as we go through, what we're going to start to do is think about what are the changes that could produce opportunity. And in fact, we're going to start there right now. So this is where you need to pick up your phone And if you're new to Menti, then either scan the code, the QR code here, or you can go to menti.com and just put in this code here, and you should come up with our slides. So can you just put in the chat box a thumbs up or a done it or something like that, so we know you're all on Menti. Or you could just shout out and unmute yourself and go, yes.
Helen, does it, the questions that it's asking me, those are your questions, not for me to get onto the app, are they?
These questions?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm on it. Okay.
Brilliant. Does anybody need the QR code again, or are you all there now?
Yes, please. I do.
There we go.
Thank you.
Perfect. Haha. So these are some of the opportunities we've got. So when competitors are struggling, that's always, and I mean, we don't obviously wish our competitors ill really, but when they are struggling, that's an opportunity. Whoosh. Can you scoop up their customers? Can you scoop up their staff? Can you? It always presents an opportunity. Are there new markets? Are there people, sectors of businesses or sectors of consumers who are now coming into needing your product? Can you offer a slightly different product to take advantage of a new market and a new need? Who hasn't put their prices up? So I've heard a few people go, I can't put my prices up now. And I'm like, why not? Everyone else is, everybody knows there's increased costs. Why would you be the one business that's going to absorb the cost rather than pass them on? So now is the time. If you haven't done a price increase in the last 6 months, you probably need to do one. Thinking about who needs our help. There are so many businesses that and people who need help. And sometimes that can be paid help, and sometimes you can help them by non-paid means, in terms of putting out a top tips sheet or an ideas or a, how to make the most value out of something or another. If you can get out there a webinar, a cheat sheet, a checklist, something that is going to help people, it might not turn into business now for you, but it may well do later on. And then other opportunities. So we've got a couple in others. Whoever put the others, could you explain your other? Because that might be something else other people can jump onto. So unmute yourself, whoever.
Mine's funding opportunities. The other advantages, so there's some new funding coming along that's going to potentially really help.
Ah, brilliant. Yes. It's not as blanket as it was in COVID times, but there are some specific. Is it kind of more green and eco type funding?
No, it's rural funding. It's it's replacing some of the European funding, but that's been dished out by the council. So hopefully some of our projects really fit into that. So that'll be 40% of the project cost. That's probably 120 grand.
Oh, very handy. Very handy. So not all of us can apply for rural, but if you can, great, go for it. But there are still some, I've got certainly one client who'll be looking at the eco, what do you call it, low carbon based grants. If you need lighting, heating, that kind of thing, available via Bucks Business First. So great. Quite a few opportunities there. If you've put one down and you've just thought about it as I've been talking it through, make sure you've made a note and we can explore how you can really make that happen. But by my maths, you've probably on average all got 2 opportunities at least that you've got there. So that is really helpful. Right. What have I lost? Oh, there we go. So coming on to the marketing. Marketing is so crucial at the moment. And it's thinking about who is your target market. So I am always preaching you should have more than one. So in marketing, we need to have very specific targets, personas, types of business that we are working with, who our product or services particularly resonates with, or it might be a section of our product and services. This particular product works for this particular group. That's a target, a different one for a different aspect of your business potentially. So we should always have multiple ones of those, because the marketing has to land with your target audience such that they think you're talking to them. It's that specific. They go, oh, they get me. Yep, they've got my situation, and yeah, I need that thing. And you can only do that if it's very specific. Otherwise, it comes across as generic. So sometimes people think that they're missing out. You know, oh, if I only hone down on five target audiences, you know, I can help everyone. That is the worst thing I hear. Anybody think they can help everyone? Yeah, you can. But if your marketing is to everyone, it actually lands with no one. So we have to get those specific areas identified. And then when we get into a different economic environment, we need to maybe flex who we're focusing on, because now it's different people who need our products or services. So back onto Menti, I want a groupthink brainstorm going on here about which sectors or industries are you seeing, or do you expect to grow or stay strong through 2023? Because these are the ones we can then focus on, because they've got the money and the momentum, etc., and the desire and the urgency to buy your services or your products. So if you just type into the box on Menti, which sectors or industries do you expect to grow? Is this working for people? I can't see anything coming up yet. Ah, there we go. Food, recreation, tourism. Yep. Local, maybe UK tourism, given budgets. Well-being, cybersecurity, absolutely. Golly, I was in the changing room this morning, and some poor lady had her Facebook hacked, which had then gone into her PayPal and then ultimately to her bank account. They'd sort of worked around every financial dimension of her online presence, unfortunately. What else? What business sectors? Health. Yep, health is increasingly important. Electric charging points. Great. Yeah, all this EV stuff. AI. Yeah, all the high tech stuff. Apps and all that is still going to be growing, I think. Medical always continues, yes, because there's some sectors that are just almost you know, can't think of the word, don't suffer in a recession because we just always need them. Arms, yeah, actually, the military type sectors are going to be a lot of spending there. Legal, I think legal and accountancy, if somebody wants to add an accountancy, I would say are going to be busy. What other sectors have we got? Medical, pharmaceutical. So there's quite a lot that is still going to be going, that we baby children stuff always keeps going. So any of that stuff, because they keep coming, they keep growing. So that's one that always keeps going. So when we're looking at these things, think how you can face into some of these sectors. Because they're going to be people who are going to be, A, they've got the money to spend with you, and B, they've got the desire to move their business forward. And it's always much easier to do business with somebody in that mindset. So keep that in mind. And as you come across different sectors and you're going around, then do think about which ones could be there, what else could be added to. Sustainability is a great one as well. And where there's funding, because where there's funding, like Jim, if there's rural grants, whoever supports people in rural areas, that's an opportunity. Maybe Karen, these rural people will want zone footage of their new rural investments. So let's get aligned to those and then change the focus. So we might go, actually, you know, that particular target that I used to focus on, they're going to really struggle at the moment. So let me pick up a new one and just change direction a little bit. Some will still keep going, but you might need to focus somewhere else for the next few months. So I like to think about this as rematching to new people. So you will have an established, your target audience and people you tend to work with will be a match between what you particularly offer, your USP, your unique selling points, why you stand out differently from your competition, and what they need. But when there's a change, like at the moment, then sometimes that becomes mismatched. They did need you. I'm thinking, PJ, you know, they were your people for the high-end holidays. Now they can't afford it. You've got a mismatch. So what we want to do is then look, okay, if they can't, there's somebody else who is going somewhere else at a higher level who can now come to you. They now can't afford super premium, and they're now coming to you. So unless you're right at the top of the food chain, there's always somebody who can come down to you, or rather you trade up to them. So they can, and then but you need to change your marketing because they're different people. Your messages that worked with the old group, when we're now approaching the people you used to have, they need a slightly different message for it to resonate with them. So you need to change your marketing. The other thing you could do is, if your target audience have got less money to spend, you can downgrade your product to meet them. Now, there's a couple of watch outs with that. You have to downgrade the product to reduce the price point, but you also have to reduce the cost, so your profit is maintained and you have the ability to increase the volume. Otherwise, your revenue is going to go down. So only downgrade if you can downgrade the price and downgrade the cost, so you're maintaining profit or growing profit, which is perfectly possible. That's the classic, you know, these all the chocolate bars, shrinkage yet again. They're getting lighter, aren't they? Or you offer a budget, you might not call it budget, but there's a budget. You usually offer a service this comprehensive, and now you're going to take out some of the bells and whistles, and it's now a slimmed down version. It costs less for your customers, but also it takes less time, less product or whatever for you to do, so you're still making the same margin. Or expand your reach. If you can, go broader. So if you used to work with 50 people in Buckinghamshire, can you now, and now you've only got 25 of them, can we find the other 25 from going further afield? Can you do more internet sales? So can you expand that reach so you're getting a smaller proportion of a bigger pool, basically? So I would really challenge you to think about which one of those options, or maybe a couple of them, you can see working for yourself. So either go marketing to the next level up of clientele, or downgrade your profit, but make sure you, sorry, your product, but make sure you downgrade the cost so you maintain your profit, or expand your reach. And then you're following the money, as I say there. So let's have in the chat, which one do you think would be the best opportunity for you? Trade up to the next level of client, downgrade your product, or expand your reach. Let's think through which could be best for you, and pop it in the chat. Excellent. So we've got get a puppy. Trade up, expand the reach. Yep. Expand the reach and increase the reach, trading up. Yep. I love the trade up. Because your product and service is staying the same, your margins and everything is staying the same, you're just altering your marketing, who you're directing it at and what the message is, but you do need to change the message. Perfect.
The thing from Karen, expand reach.
Yes, absolutely. Catch a broader market. Oh, there we go. In fact, I've done a Menti wall. We've done it on chat, so we won't worry about that. Great. So as you've done that, you're going to adjust your sweet spot. So when I'm talking to a business, I really like to be clear, and I like the business owners, you guys, to be really clear about what your sweet spot is. So this is where the needs of your target audience. So at the moment, you might have just changed your target audience, or if you've got the same target audience, their needs may well have changed. So that bit's just moved. But where that coincides with your product or service offering, and again, that might have had, I mean, in some areas, you know, with supply chain issues, etc., what is being offered has changed. And you might have deliberately changed it, you might have a new product, but where those two coincide and that particular product or service for that target audience need is worth paying more for, that's where you want to be. The criticality of being worth paying more for is because it takes you out of price competition. If what your unique offering is that attractive and that good and it's valued by that particular target audience, then you lose that price sensitivity. And that will still be the case now. It might just be that the audience that really values that has moved, and you've got to move and find them. So finding that point where the three intersect is where business success really happens, because you can find, you know, you're talking to the right people, offering them exactly what they need that they so value, they're not going to be negotiating over price, which optimizes your profit. So you'll have a different Venn diagram like this for your different products and audience. Each one will have its own little sweet spot, if that makes sense. So any questions on this? Because I think this is absolutely key to succeeding in any time situation, but particularly this year, is thinking about how they might have moved. So just shout out if there's any question there. No, that's all good. Okay. The trick is actually working out why you are worth paying more for, what particular element of what you do is worth paying more for. So do spend some time on that if you can't very clearly answer that question. So let's start to think then, if we've worked out where we're trying to get to, where that sweet spot is, and which target audience we might need to be shifting in which way, let's think about the marketing. It is so important to be sensitive to the current situation, so sensitive to people's budgets, sensitive to how they might be feeling, because we know mental health is quite an issue at the moment as well. So getting the tone right is really important. And every now and again, we see a big multinational who gets the tone wrong and they end up on the front page of the papers, don't they? So make sure you're being super customer centric. So we're thinking customer first through the eyes of the customer. You know, at a basic level in our marketing, that's you. It's not talking about the company, that your company that's selling. You're talking about you, the target audience, the customer, their issues, their concerns, their needs. And very much a bit like what we did in COVID, actually, was very much focused on how you and your business and your products and service can help people. So you're looking to help them, you're not selling. In helping them, in that process, you do end up selling them because they need the stuff for you to be able to help them. But if you position it as helping, it's going to come across much better. And for goodness sake, keep calm and carry on marketing. As costs get tight, your costs get tight, one of the earliest things and easiest things people think to do is, oh, I'll stop doing that. That will save me whatever per month. But you're actually just cutting off your, blood supply, really. If you're not reaching out to people, you won't get the revenue back in that you need, and you're on a, downward spiral. So keep calm, carry on marketing. You might look at more cost-effective ways of marketing. There's a lot we can do ourselves now between social media, LinkedIn, etc. So you can reach people in a fairly low-cost way, if not no-cost way. It's just time rather than money. But make sure you are still visible and you're still out there. So what we do know is that sales are taking longer. People are taking longer to make a purchasing decision, whether that's a consumer or a business. Everybody I talk to is experiencing that. Typically for a reasonably high value sale, sort of business to business, if we think about, multi-thousand, 2,000-3,000 sale type of thing, it would be a 7-step sales process. In COVID, it went up to an 11-step process because of when it slowed down there. So my expectation is we're back in I haven't seen any evidence, but my expectation is we are back in that more 11-step sales process type of thing. Now, obviously that only works if you have 11 steps in your sales process. This is for high value products, I would say. It can still work for B2C on the higher value. But we just need to keep the momentum going with people. So sales needs to be very much about educating and engaging people, educating them around, to begin with, we have to educate them around the problems they're facing. What could be solving that, how you can solve it, and then how you particularly do that in a way that's worth paying more for. And you're not going to use that language, but you're going to explain how, and keep them engaged. If it's a more consumer instant product, I'm thinking Vintage in your world, the engagement, keep people engaged. And even then there could be a 2-3 step process. It just starts with messaging at the door before they get to the till, or the upsell when you get there, etc. So it's taking people longer, people being more cautious. You've just got to put more effort in. And then make sure you're adding value. Expertise, telling them about stuff. And it can be just about the products, just show your product knowledge. Why is your coffee different to someone else's? or the way you make it, or the fact it's actually hot when you get to drink it 2 seconds later rather than lukewarm, or whatever. Make sure you're explaining that rather than assuming people know that. That longer sales processes are needing us to ask more questions, because when you ask questions, what you're doing is unearthing needs, or you're unearthing urgency. They need it now, they need it quicker, which we want to do to keep them moving forwards. Or the more questions could be helping them see a picture of what life is going to be like in the future with your product or service. So more questions will increase the engagement, increase their know, like, trust of you, and keep them coming back, and keep them either coming back if you're a quick sale type of business, or keep them engaged in that sale process if you're a higher value. So it is going to take longer. So expect it to take a bit longer, a bit slower, but just those extra sales steps will just keep the momentum moving forward. So I do think it's the tortoise that's going to win. Steady progress is what we're looking for, and keep in contact, because their situation might change quite quickly and they're ready now to buy. Interestingly, in the last 5 days, I've signed 2 new coaching clients, one of whom first came to a seminar. That tells you how long ago it was when we were doing seminars, 5 years ago. And the other has done a little bit of work in August 2020, another one-off piece of work in 2021, and now in 2023 is into regular coaching. So keeping in contact really does pay off. So think about your sales process, particularly, have you got enough steps in it, and are those steps moving them forward every time? And if you're not sure, then let's have a pro bono call afterwards, and we'll look at those steps and check and see how you can get some more in there to get a better result. It goes without saying, financials are key. So you need to be managing these and looking at them like a hawk. So first off, know your break-even point, and be reviewing your profit and loss. So your break-even point is the point where your total costs are covered by your revenue. Your revenue is higher than your total costs put together. So you need to know what your total costs are, and then track the revenue. Now, if you're a very quick turnaround kind of sale business, you might even want to know, at least on a week, have you covered your break-even point, even a day? Other businesses, more B2B style, it might be more about once a month. But know what that number is. So mentally you'll go, oh, we haven't hit that number in revenue yet. I need to find another 1,000, another 5,000, whatever it is. Know your break-even point, because only if you know it are you going to have the there's a gap here moment and put the extra energy in to get more business. Look at your profit and loss at least monthly. I mean, I should imagine you're all on some kind of accounting system, a Xero, a QuickBooks, something like that. And therefore, as long as you've done your bookkeeping or someone else has done your bookkeeping, you can look at that report and track. You don't want to discover you haven't been profitable 3 months later when you do your VAT return. It needs to be much sooner, so you can actually take action to change the direction of travel if that is needed. So plan on your budget, have a budget. I won't embarrass you and say who's got a budget, but just note, have you got a budget? Now, what I mean by budget is some kind of spreadsheet for the year that is anticipating the revenue you expect or hope to get in, and it's anticipating the costs. The costs tend to be easier to budget because you know what they are, and you can you know what they are at the minute, and you can forecast them continuing. Or if you're deliberately going up or down in different lines, you can change that. But at the moment, I would have a desired version of that, like where you realistically expect and want to be, and then have a worst case one. So if it was really challenging, what costs could I cut out if the revenue was lower, so I'm still profitable and not in a loss-making situation? So make sure if you haven't got a budget, again, book a call with me. I've got a spreadsheet, we can get you in a budget. Monitor your marketing return on investment. This is often the quickest way to save some money. So you're going, Helen, you just said a minute ago, keep marketing. Yes, keep marketing, but only keep marketing in profitable ways of marketing. Marketing that actually brings you leads, that actually buy. A lot of people, if you're not tracking your leads coming in versus the different marketing strategies, you won't know which one is bringing in the customers and the money. And you could be spending out on stuff that is not working for you. Classic things that you can keep doing that don't work for you: Google ads. If you've got other things that are not right and Google ads aren't working because you haven't got it set up, you haven't got the knowledge, you can lose a ton of money doing that. Google ads are great if you've got the right setup and you've got the right expertise doing it. Paid ads in magazines and stuff, I've seen people just keep rolling those, even online ones, and not seeing a return and keep paying out for it. So know your return on investment, what you're getting back for the investments you're making. We spoke about this right at the beginning. If you haven't done, put your prices up in the last 6 months, then do, but review them really frequently. If you are reselling in any shape or form, you know, every time prices go up for you, they need to go up for the customers. You know, do not be absorbing any price increases at this stage, because you're just going to end up behind. So frequently, and as salaries are going up, etc., taxes are going up, etc., we need to keep those prices moving forward. And you will be, a lot of people fear doing this, but actually you can afford to lose a few customers if you've got all the rest of them on a higher price point. So keep those prices moving. Now, put here, consider hedging. This sounds a bit technical, like, Helen, we're a little business, what we do about hedging. What I mean here is, if whatever you need to do your product, your business, the prices are going up, if you have got a positive bank balance there and you can still keep the rainy day fund there, but you can actually purchase stuff and build in, get in a bit of stock, then you can buy more at the price it is before it goes up even further. And then as the price keeps going further, you could still put your price up, but you bought it in bulk earlier on, you sort of hedged. Now, hedging can go, if the prices then go down and you bought a load at a higher price, then that's a negative thing. So there's a risk to hedging. So know your product and what's happening with it, but that might be an opportunity for some of you. And the other thing on the financials, which is absolutely key, is be proactive with those people who owe you. Be on it. Absolutely. If they're a day late, start chasing it in. I was just talking to somebody yesterday. They had a massive corporate client, went into administration, totally unexpected, owes them quite a few thousand. Once they're into administration, yeah, you're going to the credit list along with everyone else, and that could be years before you get the outcome of that, especially if it's a big one. So do not let debt accumulate. Chasing money is never one of the most fun things of our roles as business owners, I would say. But at the moment, there is no opportunity for being complacent on that. Has anybody got any outstanding debtors? If so, good. And the government website, she says, rapidly forgetting what it is, the small claims sort of online system on the government works really well. So it costs you like 30 quid, and it tells you the process, and if people don't pay up after that, they get a county court judgment, which most people do not want, and it does affect. So a couple of warning letters, and then go that route for anything under £10,000. Another reason, keep on top of it, because you can get it when it's at that level. You can use that process. If it gets higher, then you can't, and it's more expensive to solve it. And finally, manage your cash. We all know more businesses go out of business through lack of cash than lack of profit. So be watching that. Have your cash flow forecast up to date. Know if you've got a cash gap, i.e. you're spending out before you're getting the money in. If you've got corporate clients who have those lovely 30, 60, 90-day terms that we don't like, but you're then paying out staff, freelancers, whatever, on a monthly basis, you can end up having to pay out before you get it in, giving you a cash gap. Ditto with supplies coming in. If your terms are less than what you're getting in at, you're going to end up with a hole. So know that and manage it so that you're predicting when money is going out and money is coming in, and that is different to being profitable. It's actually the movement of money in and out of your bank account. So now team. Key to keep the team engaged, if you have team, this is, most of you do. One, because the recruitment situation has still really, really tight. So it's much easier to keep your team with you than try and recruit once they've gone and you're in a replacement mode. So are they clear about where you're going? Are they clear about what your business is there to do? You want to get an emotional connection with them and your business, so they really buy into the vision, where you're going, how you're getting there. Do they know what the plan is for the next year, what you want to achieve? Yes, it could be the financial revenue targets, but more the new markets you're going into, the products you're selling, the how you're going to get there. If people know what's expected, they can deliver it so much more easily. Yeah, we all like to know where we're going rather than be in a blind sort of game where we don't know what we're doing. When the tough gets going, this is where, when the going gets tough, I think is what I meant to say. When the going gets tough, this is where people need to feel the culture that you've been talking about. So if you have a set of values that you've defined and you live by, whether they're named and listed or it is just the feel of the business, this is when to really live them. Really make sure they're true for your customers as well, but particularly for the team, to support them, because they'll be feeling you know, concerned and uncertain for their own situation as well, potentially. Now, just because financials are tight does not mean that development has to stop. So really keep an eye on how you can help the team develop. Again, it's one of those innate needs we have as human beings, is to develop and improve and move forward. The best ratio, if you like, for development is always been 70-20-10, which is 70% on the job development, doing different things, new things, improving how you're doing it on the job. So that costs absolutely nothing. 20% is self-development. Now that can be, it could be going off and doing self-development tends to be lower cost. It could be reading a book, watching YouTube videos, could be doing a video course that is paid for, but there's so much self-development that you can do with no cost. So many resources available there. It could be mentoring with somebody who's more experienced, whether they're in your business or maybe in another business. Maybe you could do a sort of tradie, you mentor someone from another business and they mentor one of yours. And even in the great times where there's, you know, money flowing, only 10% is suggested as being formal courses, which is where the expense tends to come in. So you've still got 90% of the opportunities for developing people. So there's no excuse for your people not to have a development plan about how they can improve. And obviously, if they're developing, it's going to help the results in your business. If you've got new product or service coming because you're tweaking to match up with new audience, they're going to need product development. They're going to need increased sales skills to make sure they're going through the new extra steps you're just putting in your sales process. So keep that development focus. And really make sure they're 100% involved in the business. They're feeling connected with you. They're up to date with what's going on and the strategies by doing the above things. And then really proactive management. So every business should have, at a business level, key performance indicators. I would highly suggest every role has key performance indicators. What are the measures? What's the performance that you expect from each role in your business that effectively make sure they pay their way, or they earn their way, we should say. If you don't know what you expect them to do, it's difficult for them to do that, and it's difficult for you to manage them to do that. So, and then finally, recognition. Do not forget recognition. When something goes well, somebody has a great idea that proves successful, they do a fantastic piece of customer service, whatever. Again, recognition doesn't have to cost money. You've no idea the power of a handwritten thank you note. So be creative. You can get a lot of mileage from some quite low cost recognition, just getting them their favorite chocolate bar, knowing, you know, think of things, but just saying thank you, going out of your way, and in that recognition being very explicit about why it was so good, what they did, so they can understand exactly what they did that was so great, and then they've got a better chance of replicating it. So sometimes these things, development and recognition, sometimes go on the back burner when we're feeling very cost conscious, which is the worst possible thing for your business. So just get more creative with how you do it. So getting to top of the hour. So from what we've covered today, what are you going to choose to do differently to keep thriving through 2023? So write down on a piece of paper, because when you write it down, you commit it. If you really want commitment, put it in a chat box. I'm not going to require you to do that, or drop me a note afterwards. But when you share what you're going to do, you are so much more likely to actually do it. It really helps with the accountability. So I'm going to give you a moment there to think, so that you've got good value from this hour you've just invested. Come out with some action points. I'm just looking at that. Sorry, Dave, I've got my hare and rabbit wrong. Give me a shout out when you've got your 3 down. I know if I leave you to do it later, you won't do it. So when you've done that, we've got about 2 minutes for any questions. If anybody's got a question they want to ask now, or if you've got any other individual questions, just shoot me an email, give me a call. If you'd like to have a quick one-to-one to look at any of the aspects we've gone through, then again, just put it in the chat box, yes please, or yeah, session please, or something like that. And we can set that up. Great, Ros, you've got yours. Fantastic. Bimpe, you've got yours. Oh, Karen's going for it. Great. Increase reach with local pages, debt management process. Yep. Or check the stages, and check the stages to the sales and communications. Perfect. Excellent. Good. So have a great rest of day and weekend. Come back on Monday remembering what you've done. So maybe put these notes somewhere where you're going to be able to see them on Monday morning so you don't forget all about it. And I wish you a very successful 2023 as you win through the almost maybe recession.